Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Astachideshatarine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Astachideshatari Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura, Premanande, Hare Hare Maho. Hare Krishna. Okay, welcome to Bhakti C. Alright, ball. They rearranged the Athens meeting, so I am still at my house. So we're reading from here today, not Athens. Oh, Kala. G. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Good afternoon. Excuse me. Yeah, we just finished the kirtan and just about to do the invocation. I was just telling Bhakti C and whoever hears this later that they redid the Athens meeting to Zoom, so I didn't have to go there. So that's okay. Hare Krishna. But here we are, Hendriesburg, aka Egypt Valley, aka Jagannath Temple. just snug as a bug, ready to hear. So we are continuing Canto 1, Chapter 17, Text 15. 1:17:15. Hearing about Kali Yuga, which is relevant because we're in Kali Yuga. So we can have some deeper insight into our age. Hare Krishna. So if you like, repeat, if you can, if you want. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat. Shrinvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana ridyantasto yabhadrani vidunoti sahrit satam nashtaprayashva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Okay, thank you. Text 15, 1:17:15. Anaghas vihabhuteshu yagas prinnirankushaha ahartasmi bhujam shakshad amartyasyapi sangadam. An upstart living being who commits offenses by torturing those who are offenseless shall be directly uprooted by me, even though he be a denizen of heaven with armor and decorations. Purport. The denizens of the heavenly kingdom are called Amar, or deathless, due to their possessing a long span of life, far greater than that of the human beings. For a human being who has only a maximum 100-year duration of life, a span of life spreading over millions of years is certainly considered to be deathless. For example, from the Bhagavad Gita we learn that on the Brahmaloka planet the duration of one day is calculated to be 4,300,000 times 1,000 solar years. Similarly, in other heavenly planets, one day is calculated to be 6 months of this planet, and the inhabitants get a life of 10 million of their years. Therefore, in all higher planets, since the span of life is far greater than that of the human being, the denizens are called deathless by imagination, although actually no one within the material universe is deathless. Mars Parikshit challenges even such denizens of heaven if they torture the offenseless. This means that the state executive head must be as strong as Mars Parikshit, so that he may be determined to punish the strongest offenders. It should be the principle of a state executive punished. Ragyo hi paramo dharma swadharma stanupalanam sasatonyanyata shastram anapadyutpatana. The supreme duty of the ruling king is to give all protection to law-abiding persons and to chastise those who stray from the ordinances of the scriptures in ordinary times, when there is no emergency. Purport. In the scriptures, there is mention of apud dharma, or occupational duty at times of extraordinary happenings. It is said that sometimes the great sage Vishvamitra had to live on the flesh of dogs in some extraordinary dangerous position. In cases of emergency, one may be allowed to live on the flesh of animals of all description, but that does not mean that there should be regular slaughterhouses to feed the animal eaters, and that this system should be encouraged by the state. No one should try to live on flesh in ordinary times simply for the sake of the palate. If anyone does so, the king or the executive head should punish him for gross enjoyment. There are regular scriptural injunctions for different persons engaged in different occupational duties, and one who follows them is called swadharma sta, or faithful in one's prescribed duties. In the Bhagavad Gita 1848, it is advised that one should not give up his occupational prescribed duties, even if they are not always flawless. Such swadharma might be violated in cases of emergency if one is forced by circumstances, but they cannot be violated in ordinary times. The state executive head, whatever it may be, and he should give all protection to the follower of Swadharma. The violator is subjected to punishment in terms of the Shastra, and the duty of the king is to see that everyone strictly follows his occupational duty as prescribed in the scripture. Dharma uvacha itadva pandaveyanam yuktam artha bhayam vachaha yasham gunai krishno dautyado bhagavan kritaha. The personality of religion said, "These words just spoken by you befit a person of the Pandava dynasty. Captivated by the devotional qualities of the Pandavas, even Lord Krishna, the personality." Purport. The assurances and challenges made by Maharaj Parikshit are never exaggerations of his real power. He could not escape his stringent government. He was not falsely proud, for a devotee of the Lord is equally as powerful as the Lord, or sometimes more powerful by his grace. And any promise made by a devotee, though it may be ordinarily very difficult to fulfill, is properly executed by the grace of the Lord. The Pandavas, by their unalloyed devotional service and full surrender unto the Lord, made it possible for the Lord to become a chariot driver or sometimes their letter messenger. Such duties executed by the Lord for his devotee are always very pleasing to the Lord, because the Lord wants to render service to his unalloyed devotee, whose life has no other engagement than to serve the Lord with full love and devotion. Maharaj Parikshit, grandson of Arjuna, the celebrated friendly servitor of the Lord, was a pure devotee of the Lord like his grandfather, and therefore the Lord was always with him, even from the time when he was helplessly lying in the womb of his mother and was attacked by the blazing Brahmastra weapon of Ashwatthama. A devotee's assurance of protection by Maharaj Parikshit could never be without meaning. The personality of religion accepted this fact and thus thanked the king for his being true to his exalted position. Navayam klesha bijani yata purusharashabha purusham tam vijanimo vakya bheda vimohitaha. O greatest among human beings, it is very difficult to ascertain the particular miscreant who has caused our sufferings. Theoretical philosophers. Purport. There are many theoretical philosophers in the world who put forward their own theories of cause and effect, especially about the cause of suffering and its effect on different living beings. Generally, there are 6 great philosophers: Kanada, the author of Vaisheshika philosophy; Gautama, the author of logic; Patanjali, the author of mystic yoga; Kapila, the author of Shungsa; and Vyasadeva, the author of Vedanta Darshan. Although the bull, or the personality of religion, and the cow, the personality of the earth, knew perfectly well that the personality of Kali was the direct cause of their suffering, still, as devotees of the Lord, they knew well also that without the sanction of the Lord, no one could inflict trouble upon them. According to the Padma Purana, our present trouble is due to the fructifying of seedling sins. But even those seedling sins also gradually fade away by execution of pure devotional service. They do not accuse them for the sufferings inflicted. They take it for granted that the mischief monger is made to act by some indirect cause, and therefore they tolerate the sufferings, thinking them to be God-given in small doses. For otherwise, the sufferings should have been greater. Maharaj Parikshit wanted to get a statement of accusation against the direct mischief monger, but they declined to give it on the above-mentioned grounds. Speculative philosophers, however, do not recognize the sanction of the Lord. They try to find out the cause of sufferings in their own way, as will be described in the following verses. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, such speculators are themselves bewildered, and thus they cannot know that the ultimate cause of all causes is the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. Kichidvikalpa vasanna ahoratmanamatmana daivamanye pare karma swabhavamapare prabhum. Some of the philosophers who deny all sorts of duality declare that one's own self is responsible for his personal happiness and distress. Others say that superhuman powers are responsible, while yet others say that activity is responsible. And the gross materialists maintain that nature is the ultimate cause. Purport. As referred to above, philosophers like Jaimini and his followers established that fruitive activity... Hold on one second. Just adjusting here. Yeah, it's better. Sorry. As referred to above, philosophers like Jaimini and his followers established that fruitive activity is the root cause of all distress and happiness, and that even if there is a superior authority, some superhuman powerful god or gods, he or they are also under the influence of fruitive activity because they reward result according to one's action. They say that action is not independent because action is performed by some performer. Therefore, the performer himself is the cause of his own happiness or distress. In the Bhagavad Gita 6.5 also it is confirmed that by one's mind, freed from material affection, one can deliver himself from the sufferings of material pangs. So one should not entangle oneself in matter by the mind's material affections. Thus, one's own mind is one's friend or enemy in one's material happiness and distress. Atheistic, materialistic Shankyites conclude that material nature is the cause of all causes. According to them, combinations of material elements are the causes of material happiness and distress. And disintegration of matter is the cause of freedom from all material pangs. Gautama and Kanada find that atomic combination is the cause of everything, and impersonalists like Astavakra discover that the spiritual effulgence of Brahman is the cause of all causes. But in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord himself declares that he is the source of impersonal Brahman, and therefore he, the personality of Godhead, is the ultimate cause of all causes. It is also confirmed in the Brahma Samhita that Lord Krishna is the ultimate cause of all causes. Apratarkyana nirdeshyan iti keshva pinishchayaha tatranurupam rajarshe vimrashasva manishaya. There are also some thinkers who believe that no one can ascertain the cause of distress by argumentation, nor know it by imagination, nor express it by words. O sage amongst kings, judge for yourself by thinking over all this with your own intelligence. Excuse me. Purport. The Vaishnavites, the devotees of the Lord, do believe, as above explained, that nothing can take place without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. He is the Supreme Director, for he confirms in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15 that he is all-pervading Paramatma, stays in everyone's heart and keeps vigilance over all actions and witnesses all activities. The argument of the atheist that one cannot be punished for one's misdeeds unless proved before a qualified justice is refuted herein. For we accept the perpetual witness and constant companion of the living being. A living being may forget all that he might have done in his past or present life, but one must know that in the same tree of the material body, the individual soul and the Supreme Soul as Paramatma are sitting like two birds. One of them, the living being, is enjoying the fruits of the tree, whereas the Supreme Being is there to witness the activities. Therefore, the Paramatma feature, the Supreme Soul, is actually the witness of all activities of the living being, and only by his direction can the living being remember or forget what he might have done in the past. He is therefore both the all-pervading impersonal Brahman and the localized Paramatma in everyone's heart. He is the knower of all past, present, and future, and nothing can be concealed from him. The devotees know this truth, and therefore they discharge their duties sincerely without being overly anxious for rewards. Besides that, one cannot estimate the Lord's reactions either by speculation or by scholarship. Why does he put some into difficulty and not others? He's the supreme knower of the Vedic knowledge, and thus he is the factual Vedantist. At the same time, he is the compiler of the Vedanta. No one is independent of him, and everyone is engaged in his service in different ways. In the conditioned state, such services are rendered by the living being under force of the material nature, whereas in the liberated state, the living being is helped by the spiritual nature in the voluntary loving service of the Lord. There is no incongruity or inebriety in his actions. All are on the path of absolute truth. Bhishma Dev correctly estimated the inconceivable actions of the Lord. The conclusion is, therefore, that the sufferings of the representative of religion and the representative of the earth, as present before Maharaj Parikshit, were planned to prove that Maharaj Parikshit was the ideal executive head because he knew well how to give protection to the cows, the earth, and the brahmanas, religious principles. The two pillars of spiritual advancement. Everyone is under the full control of the Lord. He is quite correct in his action when he desires something to be done by someone, irrespective of the consideration of the particular case. Maharaj Parikshit was thus put to test for his greatness. Now let us see how he solves it by his sagacious mind. Sutuvacha evam dharme pravadati sasamradvija sattamaha samahitena manasa vikheda paryachastatam. Sutta Goswami said, O best among the Brahmanas, the Emperor Parikshit, thus hearing the personality of religion speak, was fully satisfied, and without mistake or regret he gave his reply. Report. The statement of the bull, the personality of religion, was full of philosophy and knowledge, and the king was satisfied, since he could understand that the suffering bull was not an ordinary one. Unless one is perfectly conversant with the law of the Supreme Lord, one cannot speak such things touching philosophical truths. The emperor, being also on an equal level of sagacity, replied to the point, without doubts or mistakes. Rajovacha dharmam bravishi dharmagya dharmosi vrisharupadrik yara dharma kritastanam suchakasyapi tadbhavet. The king said, O you, who are in the form of a bull, you know the truth of religion, and you are speaking according to the principle that the destination intended for the perpetrator of irreligious acts is also intended for one who identifies the perpetrator. You are no other than the personality of religion. Purport. A devotee's conclusion is that no one is directly responsible for being a benefactor or mischief monger without the sanction of the Lord. Therefore, he does not consider anyone to be directly responsible for such action. But in both the cases, he takes it for granted that either benefit or loss is God sent, and thus it is his grace. In case of benefit, no one will deny that it is God sent, but in case of loss or reverses, one becomes doubtful about how the Lord could be so unkind to his devotee as to put him in great difficulty. Jesus Christ was seemingly put into such great difficulty, being crucified by the ignorant, but he was never angry at the mischief mongers. That is the way of accepting a thing, either favorable or unfavorable. Thus, for a devotee, the identifier is equally a sinner, like the mischief monger. By God's grace, the devotee tolerates all reverses. Maharaj Pariksha observed this, and therefore he could understand that the bull was no other than the personality of religion himself. In other words, a devotee has no suffering at all because so-called suffering is also God's grace for a devotee who sees God in everything. The cow and bull never placed any complaint before the king for being tortured by the personality of Kali, although everyone lodges such complaints before the state authorities. The extraordinary behavior of the bull made the king conclude that the bull was certainly the personality of religion, for no one else could understand the finer intricacies of the codes of religion. Text 23. Atava deva mayaya nunam gatira gochara chaitasa vachashaschapi bhutanam iti nischaya. Thus it is concluded that the Lord's energies are inconceivable. No one can estimate them by mental speculation or by word jugglery. Purport. A question may be raised as to why a devotee should refrain from identifying an actor, although he knows definitely that the Lord is the ultimate doer of everything. Knowing the ultimate doer, one should not pose himself as ignorant of the actual performer. To answer this doubt, the reply is that the Lord is also not directly responsible, for everything is done by his deputed Maya Shakti, or material energy. The material energy is always provoking doubts about the supreme authority of the Lord. The personality of religion knew perfectly well that nothing can take place without the sanction of the Supreme Lord, and still he was put into doubts by the deluding energy, and thus he refrained from mentioning the supreme cause. This doubtfulness was due to the contamination of both Kali and the material energy. The whole atmosphere of the age of Kali is magnified by the deluding energy, and the proportion of measurement is inexplicable. Tapasaucham daya satyam iti pada krite kritaha adharmang saistrayo bhagna smaya sangha madaistava. In the age of Satya, truthfulness, your four legs were established by the four principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. See? That came up yesterday. Yep. Cleanliness right there. Austerity, cleanliness, mercy, truthfulness. Yeah, and the other one, according to what Bhakti Adam brought up, they replaced cleanliness with charity. So, right here, we weren't making it up.
Nice find, Prabhu, nice find.
Yeah. I'll read again. In the age of Satya, truthfulness, your four legs were established by the four principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. But it appears that three of your legs are broken due to rampant irreligion in the form of pride, lust for women, and intoxication. Purport. The deluding energy, the deluding energy or material nature can act upon the living beings proportionately in terms of the living beings falling prey to the deluding attraction of Maya. Moths are captivated by the glaring brightness of light, and thus they become prey to the fire. Similarly, the deluding energy is always captivating the conditioned souls to become prey to the fire of delusion, and the Vedic scriptures warn the conditioned souls not to become prey to delusion, but to get rid of it. The Vedas warn us to go not to the darkness of ignorance, but to the progressive path of light. The Lord himself also warns that the deluding power of material energy is too powerful to overcome. but one who completely surrenders unto the Lord can easily do so. Hold on a second. I just got to go in here. For some reason, I have an alarm going off at 6:10 p.m. I got to turn it off real quick. Alright. I'll read that again. The Vedas warn us to go not to the darkness of ignorance, but to the progressive path of light. The Lord himself also warns that the deluding power of material energy is too powerful to overcome. But one who completely surrenders unto the Lord can easily do so. But to surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord is also not very easy. Such surrender is possible by persons of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. These four principles of advanced civilization were remarkable features in the age of Satya. In that age, every human being was practically a qualified Brahmana of the highest order, and in the social orders of life they were all Paramahamsas, or the topmost in the renounced order. By cultural standing, the human beings were not at all subjected to the deluding energy. Such strong men of character were competent enough to get away from the clutches of Maya. But gradually, as the basic principles of Brahminical culture, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, became curtailed by proportionate development of pride, attachment for women, and intoxication, the path of salvation, or the path of transcendental bliss, retreated far, far away from human society. With the progression of the age of Kali, people are becoming very proud and attached to women and intoxication. By the influence of the age of Kali, even a pauper is proud of his penny. The women are always dressed in an overly attractive fashion to victimize the minds of men. And the man is addicted to drinking wine, smoking, drinking tea, and chewing tobacco, and so on. All these habits, or so-called advancement of civilization, are the root causes of all irreligiosities. And therefore it is not possible to check corruption, bribery, and nepotism. Men cannot check all these evils simply by statutory acts and police vigilance. But he can cure the disease of the mind by the proper medicine, namely advocating the principles of Brahminical culture, or the principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. Modern civilization and economic development are creating a new situation of poverty and scarcity with the result of blackmailing the consumer's commodities. If the leaders, I'm going to read that sentence again. Modern civilization and economic development are creating a new situation of poverty and scarcity with the result of blackmailing the consumer's commodities. If the leaders and the rich men of the society spend 50% of their accumulated wealth mercifully for the misled mass of people and educate them in God consciousness, the knowledge of Bhagavatam, certainly the age of Kali will be defeated in its attempt to entrap the conditioned souls. We must always remember that false pride, or too high an estimation of one's own values of life, undue attachment to women or association with them, and intoxication will divert human civilization from the path of peace, however much the people clamor for peace in the world. The preaching of the Bhagavatam principles will automatically render all men austere, clean both inside and outside, merciful to the suffering, and truthful in daily behavior. That is the way of correcting the flaws of human society, which are very prominently exhibited at the present moment. Idanim dharmapadaste satyanirvarta yataha tam jigrikshat yadharmoyam anratena ditta kalihi. You are now standing on one leg only, which is your truthfulness, and you are somehow or other hobbling along. But quarrel personified, Kali, flourishing by deceit, is also trying to destroy that leg. Purport. The principles of religion do not stand on some dogmas or man-made formulas, but they stand on four primary regulative observances, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. The mass of people must be taught to practice these principles from childhood. Austerity means to accept voluntary things which may not be very comfortable for the body, but are conducive for spiritual realization. For example, fasting. Fasting twice or 4 times a month is a sort of austerity which may be voluntarily accepted for spiritual realization only, not for any other purposes, political or otherwise. Fastings which are meant not for self-realization but for some other purposes are condemned in the Bhagavad Gita 17:5 and 6. Similarly, cleanliness is necessary both for the mind and for the body. Simply bodily cleanliness may help to some extent, but cleanliness of the mind is necessary, and it is effected by glorifying the Supreme Lord. No one can cleanse the accumulated mental dust without glorifying the Supreme Lord. A godless civilization cannot cleanse the mind because it has no idea of God, and for this simple reason, people under such a civilization cannot have good qualifications, however they may be materially equipped. We have to see things by their resultant action. The resultant action of human civilization in the age of Kali is dissatisfaction. So everyone is anxious to get peace of mind. This peace of mind was complete in the Satya age because of the existence of the above-mentioned attributes of the human beings. Gradually, these attributes have diminished in the Treta Yuga to 3/4, in the Dwapar to half, and in this age of Kali to 1/4, which is also gradually diminishing on account of prevailing untruthfulness. By pride, either artificial or real, the resultant action of austerity is spoiled by too much affection for female association. Cleanliness is spoiled by too much addiction to intoxication. Mercy is spoiled, and by too much lying propaganda, truthfulness is spoiled. Revival of Bhagavad Dharma can save human civilization from falling prey to evils of all description. Iyam cha bhumir bhagavata nyasitorubhadasati Srimad Bhishtatpada nyasai sarvata krita kautuka. The burden of the earth was certainly diminished by the personality of Kali, and by others as well. When he was present as an incarnation, all good was performed because of his auspicious footprints. Hare Krishna. Does anybody want to share anything at this time? No? I'm having a hard time breathing. Okay. Text 27. Sachatya Shrukala Sadbi Durbhageva Jitasati Abramanya Nirpa Vyaja Sudra Bhakshanti Mamiti. Now she, the chaste one, being unfortunately forsaken by the personality of Godhead, laments her future with tears in her eyes. For now she is being ruled and enjoyed by lower-class men who pose as rulers. Purport. The Kshatriya, or the man who is qualified to protect the sufferers, is meant to rule the state. Untrained lower-class men, or men without ambition to protect the sufferers, cannot be placed on the seat of an administrator. Unfortunately, in the age of Kali, the lower-class men, without training, occupy the post of a ruler by strength of popular votes, and instead of protecting the sufferers, such men create a situation quite intolerable for everyone. Such rulers illegally gratify themselves at the cost of all comforts of the citizens. And thus the chaste Mother Earth cries to see the pitiable condition of her sons, both men and animals. That is the future of the world in the age of Kali, when irreligiosity prevails most prominently. And the absence of a suitable king to curb irreligious tendencies, educating the people systematically in the teaching of Srimad Bhagavatam will clear up the hazy atmosphere of corruption, bribery, blackmail, and so on. Wow. Iti dharmam mahim chaiva santvayitva maharataha Rashatamadadhe khadgam kalaye dharma hetave. Maharaj Parikshit, who could fight 1,000 enemies single-handedly, thus pacified the personality of religion in the earth. Then he took up his sharp sword to kill the personality of Kali, who is the cause of all irreligion. Purport. As described above, the personality of Kali is he who deliberately commits all kinds of sinful acts which are forbidden in the revealed scriptures. This age of Kali will certainly be full of all activities of Kali, but this does not mean that the leaders of society, the executive heads, the learned and intelligent men, or, above all, the devotees of the Lord, should sit down tightly and become callous to the reactions of the age of Kali. In the rainy season, certainly there will be profuse rainfalls, but that does not mean that men should not take means to protect themselves from the rains. It is the duty of the executive heads of state and others to take all necessary actions against the activities of Kali or the persons influenced by the age of Kali. And Maharaj Parikshit is the ideal executive head of the state, for at once he was ready to kill the personality of Kali with a sharp sword. The administrators should not simply pass resolutions for anti-corruptional steps, but they must be ready with sharp swords to kill the persons creating corruptions from the angle of vision of the recognized Shastras. The administrators cannot prevent corrupt activities by allowing wine shops. They must at once close all shops of intoxicating drugs and wine and force punishment even by death for those who indulge in habits of intoxication of all description. That is the way of stopping the activities of Kali, as exhibited herein by Maharaj Parikshit, the Maharata. No more dispensaries, and if you don't quit, then you're going to get your head chopped off. Hare Krishna. Text 29. Tam jigham sumabhi pretya vihayan palanchanam tad paramulam shirasa sumagad boya vivalaha. When the personality of Kali understood that the king was willing to kill him, he at once abandoned the dress of a king and, under pressure of fear, completely surrendered to him, bowing his head. Purport. The royal dress of the personality of Kali is artificial. The royal dress is suitable for a king or kshatriya, but when a lower class man artificially dresses himself as a king, his real identity is disclosed by the challenge of a bona fide kshatriya like Maharaj Parikshit. A real kshatriya never surrenders. He accepts the challenge of his rival kshatriya and he fights either to die or to win. Surrender is unknown to a real kshatriya. In the age of Kali, there are so many pretenders dressed and posed like administrators or executive heads, but their real identity is disclosed when they are challenged by a real kshatriya. Therefore, when the artificially dressed personality of Kali saw that to fight Maharaj Parikshit was beyond his ability, he bowed down his head like a subordinate and gave up his royal dress. Patitam bharayor vira kripaya dina vatsalaha sharanyo navadhi shlokya ahacheram hasan eva. Maharaj Parikshit, who was qualified to accept surrender and worthy of being sung in history, did not kill the poor surrendered and fallen Kali, but smiled compassionately, for he was kind to the poor. Purport. Even an ordinary kshatriya does not kill a surrendered person, and what to speak of Maharaj Parikshit, who is by nature compassionate and kind to the poor. He was smiling because the artificially dressed Kali had disclosed his identity as a lower class man, and he was thinking how ironic it was that although no one was saved from his sharp sword when he desired to kill, the poor lower class Kali was spared by his timely surrender. Maharaj Parikshit's glory and kindness are therefore sung in history. He was a kind and compassionate emperor, fully worthy of accepting surrender even from his enemy. Thus the personality of Kali was saved by the will of providence. Rajavacha. Actually, I want to start here tomorrow. Yeah. So I'm going to end the reading part there. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna. Go to Premanande. So, yeah, I'm going to end it there. But we can still have discussion if anybody wants to share. Yeah. Some interesting points. One interesting point was in the beginning of the reading. Basically, the way I understood it and the way I read it was, basically mischief mongers, or like criminals, having the same this is like Dharma speaking, having the same destination as, or those who identify mischief mongers would have the same destination as the mischief mongers. And so I was like, the way I was understanding that and the way that Prabhupada was explaining it was, he's talking about the different philosophers they're attributing different things as the cause of things in general in the world, and basically, to identify anything as the cause other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead is basically like sinful mentality. Is the way I understood that point. So I thought that was interesting. When I first heard it, I was like, well, wait a minute, by pointing out some crime, you're also going to be suffering. But I think it was more of a subtle principle of, God consciousness. So that was interesting to me. There's another point. Well, there's a lot of nice points. Basic situation, administrators, executive heads, basically enjoying at the cost of the citizens. Obviously, that's happening nowadays. And basically also how teaching of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada said, will clear up the hazy atmosphere of corruption, bribery, blackmail, and so on. So it's nice. We should not underestimate the power of Srimad Bhagavatam. The revival of Bhagavat Dharma can save human civilization from falling prey to evils of all description. Yeah. The principles of religion do not stand on some dogmas or man-made formulas, but they stand on four primary regulative observances, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy. Anyway, just so much Prabhupada's putting into perspective for us. And Prabhupada's, at least that last point, it's really, he's preaching interestingly in terms of like government and like civilization itself, us as a collective, but also kind of boils, religious life, spiritual life boils down to individual practice. I think nowadays people kind of get caught up too much in what the organizations are doing and not worry enough about what they are doing, or like, actually, in my observation, most people that come to the temple, they just don't take the time to try to really try to understand what is being taught by Prabhupada. They just don't take the time. And then not only do they not take the time, but then they start just kind of looking around and seeing stuff and just saying, yeah, this place is whatever, this or that. Because whatever they see or whatever they think they see, which they actually may be valid. They might actually see sometimes devotees, or a lot of time, there are devotees doing things around the ISKCON temple that is not representing well Prabhupada. But at the same time, there are usually always devotees simultaneously that are there that are representing really well. So, I think because of being in Kali Yuga, the tendency is to be attracted to the, have like the fly mentality as opposed to the honeybee. And, we easily get caught up in stuff. And we haven't heard it yet, but I think it's coming soon. Uh, is whenever Maharaj Parikshit basically confines the personality of Kali to 4 places. Sorry. I lost my place here. Oh, here we go. And actually, I'm forgetting him right now. Does anybody know here? I know where gold is uh, like accumulated is 1. I'm like totally forgetting right now. Yeah, reside in places where gambling, drinking, prostitution, and animal slaughter. Oh wow. The 4 regulative principles. And then to live where there is gold, because wherever there is gold, there's also falsity, intoxication, lust, envy, and enmity. Okay. That's interesting. So anyway, the point is, I forgot my point.
You had some headliners there. Hare Krishna. I don't know if it's on today or not. Wow. Such a heavy elements being delivered in this dynamic where basically desire coming a pursuit, and it's a natural dynamic of Maya, you know. And then as Kali is referenced so many times, we know this is different than Kali Ma, but we know that Maya Devi is form of Kali Yuga. So this is, direct incarnation meant to be here. It's something else to think that everything that we are doing, trying to pursue something, we can pursue that. And sometimes people get very confused. And overall, like we can pursue something wholeheartedly with genuine nature. And whenever we're pursuing something in this way, I think there's a big difference between maybe walking the walk or talking the talk, as they would say, in a general nature. We can act a certain way, but the proof is in the pudding of where we actually are situated. Like, and you can't always tell from anyone else, and people might judge someone very simply, like look at how somebody lives or what's going on. But, the devotional nature is very important to be present in that. And our own nature of sadhana is individual. So it's never a judgment that we see others in a different way, but practicing or not practicing in certain ways can show how interaction goes or things are, you know? So that was striking me a lot. And also, we see it in this world so much because obviously it's totally Kali Yuga and Maya Devi's raining down on everyone. And so those were a few of the points. If I could bring it to like a few other things where also, again, the whole mood of, we don't have to bring it to current events or something, but people may have a structure or a situation and they maybe feel very identified with their situation, and they can be like, oh, I'm doing all this for the world, or I'm doing that, but really at the same time they have an ulterior motive. They may be like taking advantage of something. This is like um not a positive for everything. And ultimately in bhakti, we're striving to give love and reciprocation. And if we're actually doing that, then love comes from love. And I've, I feel like that in my own life, looking at the world around me, you know, there are plenty of people living very simply, doing simple jobs, different things. And then sometimes it's not to shout down Babylon or something, but the bureaucracies, the corporations, the way that life exists, it's like, definitely not really posing itself in a way to help others. And I'll stop now, but those are some points I was really thinking, and I appreciate your reading. I don't know who else is here, but thank you.
Yeah, we can observe these things, but yeah, we can also, we're fortunate to be able to hear Bhagavatam and actually, like, you know, really enact change, especially with starting with ourselves. And, that's basically Lord Chaitanya's whole movement, and Srila Prabhupada's whole movement is, trying to do that ourselves and then trying to inspire others to do so also. Because actually, we may not understand how powerful the practices of bhakti yoga can be in curtailing the effects of Kali. Which in Bhagavatam there's a very clear, basically the personality of Kali that Maharaj Parikshit is here with is totally different personality than like Kali Ma. They're two different personalities entirely, even though but what you said was true. Hold on, I'm getting some stuff here. Uh, but there is it'd be interesting to go into the dynamics, but like you're saying, Maya Devi is there, but then the personality of Kali is another aspect and personality in different ways in the Kali Yuga. I'm getting bombarded with stuff. But actually, Maharaj Parikshit, he confined Kali to the specific activities, certain places where gold is. So actually, we can really curtail, if not completely obliterate, the effects of the personality of Kali in our own lives. And then, actually, I was really experiencing this, I felt, in Farmington Hills. There's just so many nice devotees there that the atmosphere and the environment was just like, man, this is a whole different place. This is like the spiritual world, I felt. Just the interactions, the community, they had their own little protective bubble with so many devotees. who are, strongly following, chanting 16 rounds. And judging based on what I saw, there was a lot of following of four regulative principles going on there. So, like, Kali can't penetrate that environment so much, as long as the devotees are, doing that. So anyway, it's quite amazing actually. We're on the front line seeing, these different energies taking place in different places, and maybe even within our own selves. They say in Satya Yuga there were no demons. In Treta Yuga there were demons, but they had their own planets. In Dwapara Yuga there were demons, and they lived in the same planet. And in Kali Yuga the demons are basically, they reside in your mind and your body. Uh, so like people are battling demons of principle, like whatever the Christians say. Well, they say, like, I can't remember the exact way they put it, but like wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with principalities or something like that. So yeah, that's the situation in Kali Yuga. That's why if we could, that's why the regulative principles are, you know, given. Because if we could actually, it's basically like, it's not necessarily demons, but by doing those things, basically it gives no space for, any of those unfavorable things that reside within us, within our minds. All right, Bo, Josh, Bhakta Josh, Krishna, nice to have you. Nice to see you. You look like you have a very healthy picture. Hope you're well. Yeah, we were just having a little bit of discussion at the end of our reading here. We're hearing about Kali Yuga, Maharaj Parikshit. All right, Bo. Nice
Hey,
to see
how
you.
you doing?
Hey, Krishna. How are you?
Doing good. Just finally got a free evening, so I thought I'd jump in if that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice to see. Nice to have you. Yeah, we were kind of winding down. We were just talking about Kali Yuga
Okay.
and its effects and some stuff we heard, which we didn't hear it yet, but we were talking about it. We kind of went forward a little bit about basically Maharaj Parikshit. We're hearing about him. He came upon like this Shudra dressed as a king, like beaten and kept trying to kill this cow and this bull.
Okay.
And the cow and bull turned out to be the personality of a religion and the earth. And then so he came and kind of saved them, and then they have like this philosophical discussion basically.
Okay.
And anyway, yeah, so we were just talking about that.
I don't think I can see everybody, but if I change my
Oh, Bhakti C left.
okay.
You might have to swipe your screen to the left, and then there's like another screen that has everybody usually.
Okay.
But right now it's just you and one other person and me. Ecology is here, my friend.
Oh, okay. My kids will probably pop in and out.
No problem. Yeah, so
Bye.
we're just. They're talking to me. Oh, Bhakti C is coming back. Okay, we got a lot of stuff. Okay. But yeah, we were just talking about yeah, Kali Yuga not being able to penetrate beyond, basically where the four regulative principles are being broken, and where there's a bunch of gold's being stored. People who are like mad after gold, yeah, because then they start lying, and then they start doing all kinds of other stuff.
uh,
So we were just kind of, well, I was just saying, right when you came on, how actually we were talking about like all these things we can observe uh, in society nowadays. That's basically the way people are treating people, the way the governments and the propaganda, like on TV and news and the whatever radios and music and stuff, encouraging people in like sinful ways and unfavorable ways and stuff like that. But then also appreciating the what Prabhupada's giving in the way of basically counteracting all that energy of Srimad Bhagavatam and chanting Hare Krishna and these spiritual practices. We can actually totally change that quality in ourselves, and basically it's like the whole movement, Lord Chaitanya's movement, Srila Prabhupada's movement is basically like doing that yourself the best we can, and then also like encouraging others to do that, and that's really counteracting the whole situation so strongly. So anyway, that's basically what we were talking about. Would
Yeah.
Would you like to share anything in Krishna consciousness in general, especially being a Krishna conscious father, or living in the world trying to be a devotee and trying to chant anything like you'd like to share? You don't have to, but just asking.
Uh, well, it's a constant endeavor, you know, taking on a life and being a parent, being a family person. Um, you know, I always think that there are shelters for individual soul. Prabhupada taught. Those are basically the different ashrams, and so staying dedicated to your family life is certainly an ashram of safety for your spirit life. So
Prabhuji, I really appreciate that point. That's a really good point and a nice realization, actually, because sometimes devotees might forget that and they get discouraged or, um, just sometimes, sometimes devotees forget that because how much shelter is actually there in just the ashram.
yeah.
So I really appreciate that you have that realization. That's really awesome, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Yeah, Kali Yuga, I often think about, is I don't know if is that synonymous with samsara, you think? Maybe?
Oh, yeah, it's part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just, it's a never-ending roller coaster out there, and so it's nice when you can, find a spiritual basis to land on, like Krishna consciousness is definitely like a powerhouse of spiritual energy that you can tap into once you you know get in there. So
Yeah. Yeah, I was also just reflecting kind of today, actually, just, a little goes a long way. We
yeah.
don't all have to be like Srila Vyasadeva necessarily. Like, live in a cave and, fully devote ourselves to like compiling the Vedanta and, or Narada Muni, all he does is travel around and preach. But actually, I was thinking, man, just a little, just like this reading, for example, is like 1 hour a day, just a little bit. And actually, this has become one of the most significant and powerful things of my personal spiritual life. Just like a drop a day wears the stone away, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's a nice realization. Yeah, just consistency
Mm.
and quality too. Because Prabhupada, I have heard that basically you chant like one Maha mantra with real sincerity and quality, and that's enough that can have more of an effect than like 16 whole rounds of blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Snick snick rum rum here kitty kitty.
Oh, yeah. Gosh. That made me, think of a video I've seen of him.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, sorry. It got real glitchy there for a second. So, okay. So, yeah. Man. Yeah, the Maha mantra is like, it feels like a super powerful mantra, like I don't have much experience with other ones, but it's pretty awesome. So, uh,
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more on that one. Yeah, in the last week, Bhakti and I, we went to Michigan, and there's a 24-hour kirtan a day for 7 days straight, for a week long kirtan, and that was one of the most powerful things I ever got to experience.
ugh.
Yeah, so powerful. Yeah. I think Bhakti, were you gonna share something?
Hare Krishna. I
Hey.
was gonna say, like, even this process, even materially, it like benefits us by like putting us more into the mode of goodness, and it changes like our characteristics into more favorable characteristics, not only for Krishna consciousness, but also just for getting along in society. So
Absolutely.
if people are wondering why to take to this process, that's like another good reason why.
Yeah. And if they don't understand what that means, well, mode of goodness gives more of a sense of peace, happiness, sense of knowing. You know, it's more comfortable, you could say. Not so much suffering. That's one of the flaws of the mode of goodness is you don't suffer enough. People in the real mode of goodness, they're like, I'm good. They're like, I'm good. I don't need to I don't want to get out of this. I'm having a good time. But if you can, take on more sattvic or mode of goodness position with the knowledge and still working in a sattvic way and self-realization, then it's can't beat it. Transcending. Yeah. Co- yeah, ecology.
I wanted to chime in here. Yeah, thoughtfulness, is like that mood of knowledge, remembrance, forgetfulness. If we have the thoughtfulness and we coming from a place of love, that it creates a different energy around for everyone and for ourselves as well. That's really important.
Can you say anything more on that, Prabhuji? Like, how do you dig deep and find that within yourself?
Well, and
Sometimes
giving,
when it's tough.
I mean, that's just a different one of St. Francis or something. But the synergies of life, it's like you plant a seed and then you take care of the flower, you water the flower, it grows. There's nice for everything. And if we can do this in our hearts and for all beings, then that's how we all flourish. And it's very easy. I wanted to bring up this kind of like stepping back a little bit from the last points made, where our own individual desires or our own individual mindset of life might make us, from patterns of life or different things, interact a certain way with society or ourselves, even, knowing how to navigate oneself in this life as it's very complicated. Again, grateful to be here right now, but it takes your own effort to bring yourself to the heart And I think that like coming back to the center is very important all the time. And the more that we do that, then we can offer something back, you know. If I can give anything of the, the beauty of life as we look at this whole world, the best thing is when we open the door for somebody, maybe at the temple or something, open the door and somebody's coming through and you smile and say hello, and don't even have to say hello. Just a smile goes a long way. And so this is giving without the expectation of receiving. And there's so many ways to do this in life. But as we give more and more, that's bhakti. And then we find that loving reciprocation. And I see it in the world all around, mainly in nature, but sometimes in human nature as we go through.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
And just also add, just the basic principle of, sadhana as a practical way of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, I mean, as basically, Krishna is explained. Prabhupada explains Krishna as like the soul of our soul. So like really going deep with it, we can really ground ourselves in that spiritual conception in Krishna, and he actually helps us go deeper and deeper into our chitta. It's like our consciousness, which is also sometimes translated as like the heart. So like the consciousness, the chitta, like you have the Chaitya Guru, which is the Lord in the heart, and yeah. Anyway, just adding, you know, getting grounded in sadhana kind of automatically will have that effect on us also. In addition to like, just consciously, uh, you know, acting from the heart. But anyway, yeah, just adding. Maybe if you want to add anything more to that, please do.
Yeah. So I was thinking like again, sadhana and seva. These are two things that we are engaged in, and bhakti is always there, you know. But what's achievable in bhakti, or how we feel within that, is produced more so by our sadhana and seva. And Krishna is always here with everyone, and whether or not they remember it or not, um, Krishna can throw something one way and another for someone. But in life, if we are focused in that way, that sadhana, seva, and bhakti, that's like bringing it all together so much. And that's increasing, again, our way to give and receive, basically, and be present in the heart with love to give and receive. So if we're focused in that way, then there's more. We get filled up, more and more, so we can share something, you know. Also, purification aspects, things like, I wanted to touch on this earlier, like letting go of things that really, maybe attachment and different things, just in my own personal life. Yeah, it's like you got to pick and choose and be where you can be and give the best you can be to any situation. But when there's giving, there's receiving. And if the window is open or closed, but Krishna, the door is always open. So it's good to feel that.
And my door is always open to you, Prabhuji. You can come here anytime,
I know.
and we can do kirtan and have darshan and Hare Krishna. Everything is very nice.
Hare Krishna.
All right, well, thanks for sharing, Prabhuji.
Yeah, I'm so grateful to connect with everyone here.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. So, anybody want to share anything else? I'm kind of tapped out, and I got to get ready. I have another Zoom call at 7:30 discussing the moving forward with Athens. I've been like kind of helping manage and this Athens Krishna House and preaching there. So it's the end of the semester, so we're all having a meeting to discuss what we're gonna do moving forward. So I kind of got to get ready for that a little bit. But yeah, we still have some time, I think, a little bit. So yes, AG.
Yeah, I just want to say, my evenings are all over the place. I work some evenings, so I don't know when I'll be able to hop in with you guys or not, but I've been watching some of the YouTube videos when I get a chance too. So I'll try and hop in with you guys when I can.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And yeah, Prabhuji, if you ever have time and want to have some association, you can get a hold of me. We can just talk or whatever, just personally. Like we can read something or whatever, anything like that. Like anytime, you're more than welcome. I'm pretty flexible as of right
Okay.
now. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we messaged the other day. Like I think it was a couple weeks ago now, but that was nice. So
yeah. Yeah. So please stay in touch. Hey, buddy. Yeah, I'm very grateful to have you guys. And who is this?
this is August. This is my youngest.
August.
Yep.
Nice to meet you. Talk to August.
I guess
Mhm.
All right.
Vegas.
You want to say hi?
Yeah. It looks nice.
I appreciate your association.
Sorry.
Talk to August and also uh,
Oh,
is it Josh?
yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I appreciate your association. It's nice to see you, Rudy.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really grateful for some devotee associations. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I too been Grihasta a long time. So.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's cool.
good. So, wishing well and yeah, connection.
Yeah, don't hesitate to reach out for association. That's kind of like the whole point of this, at least for me, was, well, just to get some Sangha. But then also try to create a platform for devotees who need and want association. So that's kind of the main thing. And definitely hearing, but connecting devotees.
I was appreciating that you had some experience in the trades. So you kind of get, I don't know if many devotees can connect on spiritual life and having to, work in the material world in that manner. So I was appreciating that.
Thank you. Yeah, we're just figuring out. I quit my job to preach, and I've been slowly burning up my accumulated funds. So I'm trying to move forward in preaching, but I might actually have to do a little bit of something here, just at least for a little bit to keep the balance. So yeah, who knows? You might find me doing some of these things from a truck
Yeah.
in the future,
I've,
but we'll
I've
see.
always wanted to try like a, traveling preaching thing, but never did it.
Hey, maybe one day.
Can I talk to him by myself?
Yeah, Prabhuji, you're in Nebraska, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, right on the border of Nebraska and Iowa.
Who knows? We might end up over your direction one day.
That'd be
I've
great.
been wanting to go to some temples out there in Iowa or in Idaho. Yeah, I wanted to go to Boise. I wanted to go to Spanish Fork and some of those temples, which I'd have to drive right through, I think, where you are to go over there.
Yeah, not far to Denver, and Kansas City is only about 3 hours for me. So
Oh, really? Kansas City was another one on the list.
yeah, I really like the brahmacharis over in Kansas City. They're nice.
Oh, nice. That's easy. Well, yeah, I think I'll probably conclude here, if that's all right. I'm gonna try to kind of get my thoughts together for this next thing, but yeah, thank you for joining, and thank you other Prabhujis for being so steady and coming all the time. Bhakti, you've obtained. I mean, if you weren't already, I would say certainly obtained the status of stalwart.
Jai.
So
Yeah, it's nectar.
congratulations.
It's the
I think
best
we'll start
meal of my
making
day.
T-shirts. For the
Nice.
stalwarts. Yeah, I'll think about a good design.
I just want to say,
Yeah.
Buck, to see you looked so peaceful on your walk as I was not taking prasad, but taking darshan around lunchtime, and you were heading out.
Cool.
You were walk. It was so nice to see you always. Grateful
Oh, Jai, man.
you're
Likewise with you, Prabhu.
here. Shri Krishna, Shri Radhe Radhe.
Kripa. Okay, my Zoom quit working for a second, but um, okay, I'm just ending the call now. So, all right. So is it cool if I refer to you as Bhakta Josh? I'm gonna make a little note, like thanking everybody.
Dr. Josh is fine.
Okay, sweet. And maybe I'll even say should I say Bhakta August?
Dr. August is good.
All right. Hare Krishna. We'll see you later. All
All
right.
right. Bye, Prabhu. See ya.
All right, Bo.